The NFL, and especially as of recent, has been something, as in the last few weeks, the Buffalo Bills have lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Browns dismantled the Bengals by 25 points in their stadium, then followed it up with a 45-7 loss to the Patriots a few days ago, and Dallas lost to the Broncos with a 30-16 score, despite being down at a point 32-0 in Jerry's world, only for Denver to get beat by 3 scores by the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday, and quarterback Teddy Bridgewater doing an Olay on the Darius Slay defensive touchdown. So to say it's been a misleading or maybe an unpredictable last few weeks in the NFL would really be an understatement, as plenty of crazy things have happened. And as I record this on Wednesday morning, who knows if you, the viewer, watched this after the Patriots-Falcons Week 11 Thursday night game, it really wouldn't surprise me if the Falcons beat them because of the NFL logic, right? Well, in today's video, we are going to be discussing some NFL teams that have been, for the most part, disappointing in 2021. And for what this is worth, I was going to make a very long portion of today's video about the San Francisco 49ers. However, a 21-point dominating win on Monday Night Football over the Rams has at least put them out of today's video for now. Now, in some aspects, they have been disappointing, but perhaps this is the turnaround and the kick in the pants they needed. So anyways, without further ado, let's begin. And we are going to begin today's video with the Los Angeles Chargers, and admittedly, I realize this may be a stunning team to start the video with, but there's plenty of reasons as to why they have been pretty disappointing in 2021. They are a 5-4 football team and are a rare winning team that has given up more points than they've scored. And a big reason why I have them in today's video is their inability to, at least so far, and this could very well change, but beat good teams. Yes, they beat Kansas City in Arrowhead, and that is what Chargers fans will 100% point to immediately, and understandably so, might I add for them. However, that Chiefs team and the one we have now is two completely different teams, as that was in the midst of a span where the Chiefs were on pace to give up the most points in NFL history. And yes, we do have 17 games now, but the Chiefs would have hit that, the most points given up in NFL history, at the pace they were on without the 17th game. And yes, the Chargers did beat the Raiders on Monday Night Football, which was a good win for them. I won't shy away from that, and they played a good team game. However, I do think by season's end, with everything the Raiders have went through in the past few months, they are going to be burnt out and probably staggered to the line and finish the season something along the line of 7-10, 8-9, or 9-8, and that win will not look like it once did. And they did win one of the best games of the year in a shootout over the Cleveland Browns. But the Browns in their own right are going to be a team we discuss later in the video, so how much value does that 47-42 win actually have when you glance at the NFL right now? This is a team that started the year 4-1 and is now 5-4, and over the past 4 games, Justin Herbert is 1-3 as a starter, and his 4-game stat line over the course of a 16-game season, the past 4 games to be clear, would translate to a 3,800-yard, 24-touchdown, 16-interception stat line, which is far from the player we expected him to be in 2021, and far from the player he was a year ago. This could be a rough patch of the season, and the Chargers could very much improve over the next few games, but to get a whooping in Baltimore, lose a close one to the Mac Jones-led Patriots at home, in which Justin Herbert threw a pick-6, and now a loss to the Minnesota Vikings at home, it's been a disappointing past month for both Justin and the team. The combined record of the opponents they have beat is 23-25, and the combined records of opponents they have lost to is 23-14. Now, their next 3 games are home against the Steelers, at the Broncos, and at the Bengals, so with them being 5-4, they could very easily get their record through 12 games to be 8-4, as all 3 of those games are winnable. This team is very unpredictable, and it has been a tough run of it for them recently, but the good news is they can get back on track. But for the expectations they had entering the year and where they are now, it's hard not to look at the Chargers and think they have been underwhelming in 2021. Now we head to Miami to discuss the Dolphins, and credit to them as we enter Week 11, they have won back-to-back games, and especially last Thursday night, in a convincing double-digit win over the Baltimore Ravens. If this is a sign of things to come and Tua becomes a great player and a leader for this franchise, then I welcome being wrong about this team. And for what it's worth, I always welcome being wrong about players I don't necessarily love in the draft process and teams that I don't love entering each and every NFL season. But this is a team that started 1-7, and their only win through 8 games was a 1-point opening day win over a quarterback who at the time was making his NFL debut in Patriots QB Mac Jones. They then rattled off 7 straight losses, including one to the Bills by 35 points at home the very next week, a London loss to the Jags at the last second of the game, and within that game, Tua threw one of the worst interceptions you'll see at the NFL level, then immediately followed that up with a home loss to the Atlanta Falcons and a 2-point loss to the Falcons at that. So the Dolphins are currently 3-7, and their next 3 games are at the Jets, who will be starting veteran quarterback Joe Flacco, as that was announced while making this video, home against the Panthers, and home against the Giants. What will benefit this team is they have a bye week after the Giants game, so a week 14 bye for those keeping track, and if they can somehow go into that bye at 6-7, then the playoffs could, I'm not saying will, but could be in the future for this team. Now, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself with the Dolphins right now, though, because they are very disappointing relative to what we thought they were going to be, as no matter how you slice it, this will be either a game ahead or have the exact same record as the New York Jets have in 2021 through 10 games. The Jets have currently played 9 games, and the Dolphins have played 10, so yes, the math works out there. Now, the Dolphins finished 2020 by just missing the playoffs, and to be 3-7 with every game the rest of the way being a must-win is a huge disappointment based on what we saw last year. Brian Flores was viewed as a former Belichick coach that was going to be good, and the Dolphins were supposed to either heavily contend with the Bills in 2021 for the division, or even in some people's predictions, flat out win the division. And to be 3-7 with the season all but being over and serious questions around whether or not Tua will be a draft bust, and if they have to move on from him after a narrowly missing the playoff and nearly having a Defensive Player of the Year award winner in Xavier Howard after he had 10 interceptions last year, has been quite the downfall, to say the least. So, by the way, congratulations to the Dolphins on winning their 2 most recent games, but the truth is, when you start out 1-7, your season is pretty much over. The best they can hope for at this point is Tua shows serious flashes down the stretch, and they can confidently go into 2022 with him as their quarterback. And at this point in their season, if they can do that, after a tumultuous first half of the year, it will probably be enough to keep Brian Flores' job for at least 1 more year. And the final team we go to for today's video is the Cleveland Browns for a multitude of reasons, and by the way, Myles Garrett is certainly not one of those reasons. Now, the Browns, like the Dolphins, started off the 2021 season with very lofty expectations and have failed to reach those set expectations, and after a 45-7 road loss to a team led by a rookie quarterback, this could very well be considered to be rock bottom for the Browns. They had a very good 2020 season and had a great run game led by Chunt, or Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, and those guys have unfortunately been hurt this year, and it really has been, for the most part, one thing leading to another. They have dropped 4 of their last 6 games after starting out 3-1, and now through 10 games sit at just 5-5 with a variety of questions surrounding the franchise's outlook. Was head coach Kevin Stefanski a one-year wonder? Have teams figured him out? Can he consistently win 10-plus games as a head coach and get the Browns back to the playoffs this year, and for that matter, other years in the future as well? Now, the good news for them is they play the winless Lions this week, which should in theory be 100% a win and a get-back-on-track game. Now, if the Browns do indeed lose to Detroit, then the panic button will 100% be pushed, because they will be 5-6 and have 2 straight games against the Baltimore Ravens. So the Browns' 2021 season, to a degree, by the way, the Ravens 2 straight games, they have the Ravens a bye week, then the Ravens, to be clear. But for the Browns' 2021 season and for where they are comes down to this Sunday. Can they take care of business against Detroit? Now, I realize Baker Mayfield has not had a good season for several reasons, and health is obviously at the top of that list. Baker is not exactly in a contract year because of the way the rookie contracts worked, because he will play for the Browns in 2022 because they did pick up his 5th-year option. But had Baker came out and performed the way he would have liked, and the way the Browns would have liked for that matter, then he either would already have a long-term extension or would certainly be getting a long-term extension this offseason, and that is a question I don't know the answer to at this point in time, and that's whether or not Baker Mayfield will receive a long-term extension from the Browns. Cleveland has scored 17 points or less in 4 of their last 5 games, and for Kevin Stefanski, whether or not the quarterback is Baker Mayfield or Case Keenum, this is both concerning and disappointing because of what he was brought on board to do: innovate the offense and get the most out of players. And with an offensive line like the Browns have, Jedrick Wills, Joel Bitonio, J.C. Tretter, Wyatt Teller, and Jack Conklin, this is unacceptable. Now, at least to kind of be fair, some of those players have been hurt, but simply put, the Browns' 2021 season has been miles away from what their 2020 season was and galaxies away from where their expectations were heading into this year. And with that being said, that's all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, now is the time I ask you to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it would mean the world. We recently hit 27,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough for the support. And the final thought for the day is to be safe and have a great rest of your day.